So we're doing it, guys. We're doing it. The 2019 election is going to be one heck of a party, or one interesting thing to watch, or both, or wow. So Maxime Bernier today, I said earlier in my earlier video that he was not in Halifax. He wasn't going, I guess, to the convention. And I said that I hoped that he would be making an announcement. And wow, yeah, he made an announcement. So this is a 40-minute press conference. The whole thing is not in English. So he does English and then French, and then questions in both English and French. So I'll show you his opening statements. It's only about 8 minutes, and I think it's worth watching. He covers, let's see, what does he cover here? He talks about playing identity politics. He talks about buying votes with taxpayers' money. He says what we'll get with Scheer is a more moderate version of the disastrous Trudeau government. He says the Conservative Party is too intellectually and morally corrupt. And many oppose the supply management, but buying votes in a couple of key ridings is more important. And then at the end of the press conference and the beginning of the question period, the first question asked is, so what are you going to do? And he says, yes, well, I'm going to create a new party. So, I mean, man, good job, Mr. Bernier. Thank you very much. As I said in my other video, I don't feel like the Conservative Party was really listening to Canadians at all. They were trying to narrow down the scope of the conversation to be, well, these illegal border crossers are here now, and they were watering down the conversation to the point where it didn't matter what you said, you were wrong or racist to oppose anything. And that's not a comfortable place to be when you want and need to have the people leading your country having astute, insightful conversations about the topic at hand, instead of degenerating into calling grandmothers racist at rallies. I mean, it's frustrating to be watching our political discord at this point in time. So thank you, Mr. Bernier, for standing up for your ideals and what you believe in. I can't predict the future, sir, but I'm a former Trudeau voter who's mad as hell that liar, that groper, that double standard wielding imbecile is currently leading our government. And I don't mean to make this about Trudeau. This is about you. But it's frustrating to watch everything that he's accomplishing and destroying Canada, and watching Andrew Scheer not call him out on those things is, I guess I have said a couple of times, it's frustrating. So it's frustrating. So without further ado, Mr. Bernier at 1.5 speed, because that's what I like. If you want to watch the whole thing, the link is in the description. And I've got a list of kind of time-stamped when he talks about things. Identity politics is at 3 minutes, 45 seconds. Buying votes with taxpayers' money is at 6 minutes, 30 seconds, and so on and so forth. So like I said, it's only about 8 minutes, and then we get into the questions. And I'll just do the English version, the French version, I'll skip over. Okay, here we go.
Important for the future of our country. This is my job as a member of parliament. Moreover, it is my duty as a Conservative member of parliament to contribute to debates and offer policy solutions from a Conservative perspective. Otherwise, what is the point of being involved in politics? I am in politics to defend ideas, real Conservative ideas, because I passionately care about the future of our country, because I know that the free market Conservative philosophy has the best solutions to ensure our society is more prosperous, secure, and peaceful. However, my party stand on several issues have convinced me that, under the current leadership, it has all but abandoned its core Conservative principles. I still cannot understand how a party that is supposed to defend free markets supports a small cartel that artificially increases the price of milk, chicken, and eggs for millions of Canadian consumers. More importantly, supply management has become one of the main stumbling blocks to an agreement with the United States on NAFTA. Former Conservative leaders Brian Mulroney and Rona Ambrose agree that it should be put on the table, but the Conservative Party has been siding with the Liberal government. It also supports the retaliatory tariff of the Liberal government, even though This is going to hurt our businesses and consumers. Even though Canada has no realistic chance of winning a trade war with our neighbor 10 times bigger. Even though we could relaunch the negotiation if we put supply management on the table, and if we accept President Trump's offer to negotiate a dismantling of all barriers as the European Union has done. The Liberals are playing politics with this crucially important trade file. They are endangering the 20% of our economy that depends on trade with the US and Canada's future prosperity. But instead of leading as a principled conservative and defending the interests of Canada and Canadians, Andrew Scheer is following the Trudeau Liberals. I was told that internal polls are showing that the Liberals' response to Trump is very popular, and that in 6 months, if the polls change, the party's stand may change too. The same thing happened in reaction to my tweets on diversity and multiculturalism. This is another crucial debate for the future of our country. Do we want to emphasize our ethnic and religious differences and exploit them to buy votes, as the Liberals are doing, or emphasize what unites us and the values that can guarantee social cohesion? Just like in other Western societies grappling with this issue, a large number of Canadians, and certainly a vast majority of conservatives, are worried that we are heading in the wrong direction. But it is not politically correct to raise such questions. Instead of leading the debate and pushing back against all the unfair accusations, Andrew Scheer chose to avoid the controversy. He and several of my colleagues disavowed me. They are so afraid of criticism by the left and, yes, by the media, that they prefer to let down millions of supporters across the country that would like us to tackle this issue. When the Liberal government recently renewed the unfair and ineffective equalization formula for another 5 years, I was the only one to criticize it, not a word from my conservative colleagues. A conservative party that supports free markets should also advocate the end of corporate subsidies. It is not only the principal thing to do, it could also be popular if we defend it in a consistent way. Canadians are tired of paying taxes to bail out Bombardier, Ford, and other businesses. Instead of taking up this idea, Andrew Scheer announced that he will name a regional minister for all the regional development agencies in the country, as opposed to having only one minister overseeing them, as is the case now. He wants a minister from Quebec to distribute subsidies to Quebec, a minister from Atlantic Canada to distribute subsidies to Atlantic Canada, and so on. The Conservative solution should be to abolish these wasteful agencies. What my party proposed is to make them more efficient at buying votes with taxpayers' money. How can we expect a conservative government to adopt any conservative reform when it comes to power if it cannot even articulate a clear stand and defend them before it is elected? I'm now convinced that what we will get if Andrew Scheer becomes a prime minister is just a more moderate version of the disastrous Trudeau government. I have come to realize over the past year that this party is too intellectually and morally corrupt to be reformed. I know for a fact that many in the caucus privately oppose supply management, but buying votes in a few key ridings is more important than defending the interests of all Canadians. The whole strategy of the party is to play identity politics, pander to various interest groups, and buy votes with promises, just like the Liberals. The Conservative Party tries to avoid important, yes, controversial issues of concern to conservative and Canadians in general. It is afraid to articulate any coherent philosophy to support its position. Every public declaration is tested with polls and focus groups. The result is a bunch of platitudes that don't offend anybody, but also don't mean anything and don't motivate anyone. Andrew Scheer keeps talking about his positive conservative vision, but nobody knows what that vision is. The Conservative Party has abandoned conservative. It does not represent them anymore. And it has nothing of substance to offer Canadians looking for a political alternative. If we want conservative principles to win the battle of ideas, we have to defend them openly, with passion, and with conviction. That is what I want to do. And this is why, as of today, I'm no longer a member of the Conservative Party of Canada. I want to do politics differently. I will find another way to give a voice to millions of Canadians. And I will continue to fight for freedom, responsibility, fairness, and respect. Merci. So je vais... Laissez-moi parler dans ma langue maternelle, s'il vous plaît.
So this is where he talks in, he speaks the speech again in French. So I'm going to jump ahead and be right back. Okay, and here we are. So this is right after he's finished this French version. And again, everything I talk about is in the description below. I'm not sure if I mentioned that at the top of the video. So everything I talk about is linked below. Here's Maxime Bernier confirming that he will be creating a new party.
Are you going to start a party? Or are you going to be starting a think tank? Lots of rumors floating around. What's your plan to give those millions of Canadians a voice, as you put it?
Yeah, the plan is to be able, in the next future, to have a new party that will promote conservative values, that will fight for Canadians who want real change in this country. So answering your question, I will have some discussion with people all across the country the next couple of weeks, and the goal is to have a new party that will represent them.
So he said to be able to create a new party over the next couple of weeks for Canadians to represent them. The to be able, I kind of stumbled, and I'm going to slow it down, so sorry about that. That's probably my fault and not Mr. Bernier's fault. There we go. We'll slow it down to that. So here they're going to, well, here's another question. So they've been asking him a bunch of questions basically about why did you leave the Conservative Party, and then trying to nail him down on some other specific questions, but he stays strong and is talking, answering questions, etc.
What makes you think that you have a chance, or a better chance, of beating Justin Trudeau than Andrew Scheer?
That would be the ideas. People want to change, and I think they're ready for that. They want to have a discussion about, supply management. They want to have a discussion about the equalization formula. They want to have a discussion about maybe more private delivery of services in the healthcare. So they want to have a lot of debates, and I'm not afraid to do that. I think it would be good to have this debate, and I'm looking forward to having this debate, and I know that it will be good for this country. More freedom, less government, it's always good.
But you couldn't beat him at the leadership, so what makes you think you can do better than him in an election?
But for me, it's not a question of leadership. It's a question of it's the question of ideas. That's what I'm doing right now, and that's why I'm in politics. What is the goal to be in politics if you don't believe in anything?
Raising a lot of money beyond.
So, talk about like cranking it out of the park. Like the idea, his stance is not I want to lead the country. His stance is I want to bring my ideas forward, and if my ideas are best, then great. I don't think there's much better attitude for a politician in our system, hands down. This part's just about if you want to donate now. He's telling his supporters that it's not tax exempt. You won't get a tax receipt for it, but you can at his website. The link will be in the description.
For this new party?
No. Today, if somebody wants to give money for fighting for these ideas, they can go on my website, maximebernier.com, and that will go to a new account, and it's very different. So I'm not a conservative anymore, and people who want to give money right now, they won't have any tax credit. So that's important to say.
Okay, this happens right after that question, so I'm just going to push play again, but I'm going to let it run for maybe another minute. He handles the reporter really well, and I think it's worthwhile watching it.
Bernier, when you say that our immigration policy forcibly changes the cultural character and social fabric of Canada, what do you mean? Can you give me an example of how that's happening?
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that the Trudeau government, they're focusing on diversity. And I'm not against that. But the goal must be unity in diversity. People who came here, they came here to share the Canadian values, the rule of law, equality between men and women, respect, tolerance. And so that's why I receive a lot of support from people from other ethnic group. And they were saying, you're right, we are Canadian. And also we can be from India, we can be from other country, but we're proud to be Canadian. And I think we must focus a little bit more on that. So that's very important for me.
Mr. Trudeau's adopted that you consider extreme multiculturalism, that you would reverse.
We'll have time to have that discussion, and I will.
You talk about his extreme multiculturalism. What policy was it that made it extreme multiculturalism?
You know, I really appreciate your question, and we'll have time to discuss that. Today, I want to discuss my decision to leave the Conservative Party of Canada. But yes, I will have other exchange with journalists, and I will have other everything that I'm doing today is based on the last years, and I realized that this party intellectually they just want to try to please everybody. But when you please everybody, you unplease everybody. So I prefer to do politics differently and to speak about what I believe. Yeah.
This is him being asked if it's a pan Canadian party, And he confirms that it is. Sorry, I want to go back a couple of seconds.
Leadership date. Planning to run a pan-Canadian party.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
338 ridings.
Absolutely, that would be the
goal. You think it'll be up and running by the next election?
I think so, and I will do everything to be ready for that.
Here, the reporter asks him if he's anti-immigrant.
By some people as anti-immigrant. Your tweets have been portrayed by some people as anti-immigrant. And we know Kelly Leach, for example, she did not do well with some views that were seen that way. Like, are you anti-immigrant? And if so, how's that going to fly?
That's not the case. And, you know, I will fight people who bring fake news. I will fight that. You know, I'm very serious about that. And people know, they just have to read the tweet. Speaking about my tweet, we didn't have the question. So, yeah. So that question is very important. It is important. It is my tweet. It is my position. And I believe in that. But, you know, we're doing that as a team. And as you may know, Martin Maas worked for me for the last 10 years, and now he's going to work full-time with my team. And Martin was the person that started to write the book with me, Doing Politics Differently. So
okay, I'm going to stop him there just because for posterity. If you want to see the whole thing, please go watch the whole thing. Two things there. Are you anti-immigrant? And he responds with, I will fight people who make fake news, which is great. I really like that. That's a position that I really like. Because fake news, it's such a slippery slope, though, too. The idea that you can label something. So I think open the floodgates. Fake news, garbage. Print what you goddamn well want. You don't label and marginalize all of it. You get to see all of it. If it's racist, if it's sexist, go, oh no, and move on. Because you can't limit things that make people uncomfortable because everything's uncomfortable, okay? We need to fight fake news by allowing everyone to have an equal opportunity to have their ideas heard. That's limiting things and quashing platforms is absolutely the wrong idea. And Andrew Scheer lost my vote when he banned the rebel media from the convention in Halifax. Absolutely the wrong move, Mr. Scheer. Terrible idea, terrible job. Mr. Bernier, thank you. Again, I applaud you for standing up. The other part of that is he was talking about his Twitter feed. I don't like this so much, and I'll be honest with you, Max. If you want to use a platform, then use it. Don't pander to it. Don't pay a team to push it out. Figure out a Twitter phone. The President of the United States can use Twitter. It is a tool. Do not, in my opinion, abdicate your direct speech to a team. It doesn't work, but that's a whole other video. I'm overall excited. That's just something that's not as great, but it's a small thing. It's not Andrew Scheer big. Just two more clips. This one is this is our disgusting media trying to tie him to Trump or something. Here.
Believe that.
Can you feel emboldened by Donald Trump?
What do you mean?
Do you feel that you're starting this new party, he's against supply management, you're against supply management,
Keep using the word fake news. Are you the new Donald Trump?
Do you feel emboldened by Donald Trump? Do you feel...
No, you know, I have my own ideas, and I'm not working for the U.S. government. You know, what I'm telling you, it's the best idea for this country, and the best ideas for this country is to abolish that system. And I'm pleased that the President Trump is asking for that, because the Canadian politicians, they don't have the courage to do that.
But are there any other aspects?
So, and I mean, I almost didn't want to show the response because it didn't deserve a response. It was a ridiculous fucking question. And if the media thinks that that's a question worthy of somebody vying for leadership of our country, I mean, Jesus. I'll end on Max himself. This is Max in his own words. And hey, I'm on board. I'll run. I'll do whatever it takes to get you elected, sir. Bravo. Thank you.
I'm not looking to any leadership. You know, you cannot. I'm Maxime Bernier, and if you look at my platform and what I did the last 12 years, you'll see that I'm very different than other politicians. And that's why I need to have a new platform to do politics differently. So the last